Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashatade Satadine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langate girim yat khupa tamham mande Shri Gurum Dinatarine Hare Krishna. So today's last verse of chapter 14, 3 modes, and the discussion has already come to Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna said that who does my Bhakti, unflinching, continuous Bhakti, he will come to the Brahman platform. So now Krishna in this verse explains the basis of Brahman. Brahmano hi pratishta aham.
Brahmano hi pratisthaham.
Tasya vyayasya cha avyayasya. Amritasya avyayasya cha.
Amritash abhyayasya cha.
Shashvatasya cha dharmasya.
Shashvatasya cha dharmasya.
Sukha shaikantikasya cha.
Sukhashaikantikasya cha.
So please chant.
Brahmano hi pratisthaham. Amritasya cha. Shashvatasya cha dharmasya. Sukhashaikantikasya cha.
Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasya vyasya cha sasvastasya cha dharmasya sukasya ekantikasya cha.
Okay, so translation and purport. And I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Anybody will like to read purport, half or full?
Constitution of Brahman is immorality, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of the transcendental realization. Paramatma, the super soul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realization person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to the Paramatma realization, and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The 4 Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavad, Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is the chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Raso Vaisa Rasam Hi Evayam Labadva Nandi Bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendently blissful. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences. And when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king, and so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman or eternity or imperishability is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who is engaged in devotional service. The living entity, although Brahman by nature, has the desire to lord it over the material world, and due to this, he falls down. In his constitutional position, a living entity is above the 3 modes of material nature, but association with material nature entangles him in the different modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Due to the association of these 3 modes, his desire to dominate the material world is there. By engagement in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, he is immediately situated in the transcendental position, and his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed. Therefore, the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering the prescribed 9 methods of realizing devotional service, should be practiced in the association of devotees. Gradually, by such association, by the influence of the spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed, and one becomes firmly situated in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This method is prescribed from the 22nd to the last verse of this chapter. Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnant of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, see the places where the Lord had his transcendental pastimes, read of the different activities of the Lord, his reciprocation of love with his devotees, chant always the transcendental vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And observe the fasting days, commemorating the appearances and the disappearances of the Lord and his devotees. By following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. One who can thus situate himself in the Brahmajyoti or the different varieties of the Brahman conception is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality. Thus, end the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the 3 modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. So this is the concluding verse, and Krishna explains that last verse he said you can attain the Brahman position in Brahman, and now Krishna is saying I am the shelter, or I am the originator or resting place of that Brahman. And then Krishna gives the qualities of Brahman. It's immortal, it's imperishable, it is the ultimate happiness, it is the Shashvat, it is Dharma, it is eternal. These are the qualities of Brahman. And from there, like Srila Prabhupada mentions, once you reach the Brahman position, where you are free from, actually, we are, the basic is we are free from the miseries of the three modes. We are not entangling in those three modes. That is the level. So you can be in that level in this body also. Krishna has told that you can attain this in this body also, and many sages have previously attained it. But why Krishna is giving the reference of origin of the Brahman? So he's telling that I am the resting place of Brahman. So there is something above Brahman. So Brahman realization, which is actually absence of the miseries and the three modes, that is not the ultimate goal or ultimate spiritual or the topmost spiritual realization. So once you go there, then from that position you have to go more above, where you understand the Paramatma, you understand the Supreme Lord. So there are activities to be done in Brahman position also. So even if in this body some devotee or sage, he crosses the material modes, but still he has to act, he has to do bhakti. Then only he can establish the relationship with Supreme Lord. So for example, how to understand this? So I am some person is say learning say music, okay, and in particular instrument. Now that person goes on learning that instrument and he becomes master, and he gives the topmost qualification. He gains the topmost qualification in that particular instrument, and he can play all the notes and all everything he can do. So he is the top class, number one all over the world, for example. So reaching to that one position, he has, of course, attained something. But after attaining that position, if you don't do anything, so if you don't do practice, or if you don't play that music anymore, or if you don't interact with anyone of the same instrument or something, then he will lose his skills if you don't do anything. So like if you, so that is what Krishna is saying, that about the, so if we say that this position of number one is the Brahman, so if you don't do anything, if that musician does not do anything, he stop playing music, he stop doing anything, then he's naturally going to fall down because of lack of practice, or lack of involvement, or lack of distribution of his um, quality. But he can improve more also. But he has to do. If he don't do, then he's going to fall down. Like, so if you earn, say if you earn a lot of money, so you become a billionaire. So once you become a billionaire, it does not mean that those people who became billionaire, they stop working, they close their businesses, they don't do anything, they just stay home. No, they don't do like this. They do more activities in that state also. So they, because they have to maintain that status. So similarly, once you attain the Brahman vision and position, which is beyond this, which is the beyond the miseries, then actually you have to do ahituki bhakti, unmotivated devotional service to the Lord. Because once you go beyond the modes, then you don't have any desires for yourself. When the desires for our own self are gone, then only we can do the unmotivated bhakti or service to the Lord. And through that bhakti, actually, we make progress towards the Paramatma and Supreme Lord. That's why Srila Prabhupada gives the reference to the 9 processes. So even in Brahman conceptual position, we have to do hearing, chanting, everything. Does not mean that it is stopped, because that is not the top realization. Even if somebody achieves the association of the Supreme Lord, he does not stop anything. He has to hear, he has to chant, he has to serve. So this, and what is the return of this? All this, you get more and more bliss, you get more and more um, eternal happiness, which is ever increasing. So bhakti is a continuous process, and it is never ending. That's why bhakti is said eternal. Even if you achieve perfect goal, still it continues. It continues more actually when you, as you progress, you will like to do more and more bhakti. So, so for that Brahman, from the Brahman platform, we have to do more bhakti, and by that we go more upwards to realize the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is explaining here that by doing the bhakti, the word that Krishna has used in the last verse is vyabhicharena, without fail. That means continuous. By doing this vyabhicharena bhakti, you reach the Brahman conception. But in Brahman platform, you do ahituki bhakti. That is explained in the 18th chapter. That Krishna will explain how you go from there. So that is unmotivated. In the Vyabhicharena, continuous bhakti, still we have motivation that I don't want misery. I want to go beyond the miseries. But after that, all the motivations, when all our desires are gone, all our attachments are gone, then only attachment remains is serving the Lord. And that is the start of the pure bhakti. By that time, to reach it, we may not have pure bhakti. So this ends the chapter of three gunas, but Krishna also explained that bhakti is the easiest process to go to topmost spiritual realization. Analyzing the three modes is a good thing, but if you keep doing that only, you can go up to goodness. But bhakti, if you do bhakti at this moment, it will immediately take you in that particular moment beyond the modes. It's not like that today I read Bhagavad Gita, so I am continuously beyond. No. If I 24 hours I read Bhagavad Gita, and then I may be continuously situated in the beyond the mode because I don't think of anything else. So now in the next chapter, Krishna will start explaining about the three modes, how they entangle us, and how it is represented in this world, and how to go beyond it in more details. So we'll see that next class, that is tomorrow. And that the chapter is Purushottam Yoga. This 15th chapter is one of the short, only 20 shlokas, but very important chapter. So we'll start that tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So any comments? Anything? Okay, Hare Krishna. I'll see you tomorrow with the new chapter.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Can you explain the Ahetuki Bhakti little bit?
Yeah, ahituki bhakti means when we don't have any motivation for ourselves. Our only motivation is to serve the Lord. So that is what Krishna explains in the 18th chapter, right? Ahituki bhakti. So till Brahman comes, once we are beyond the miseries. What is the misery? Actually is our own desires. So till we have our own desires for ourselves, we face the miseries. But when we stop desiring and we detach ourselves from all the material things and the three modes also, including the goodness, then at that level of consciousness, when we serve Krishna or we serve the Supreme Lord, so if I may be reading Bhagavad Gita now, but I have attachments, I am suffering, but when my mind is and intelligence are completely absorbed in Krishna and I am not affected by the modes, at that moment, my only intention will be not for myself, but for pleasing the Lord. So I will chant to please the Lord. I will do any seva to please the Lord and his devotees. So that is what we say, ahituki, without any motivation for ourselves. So that is in short what is ahituki. But when chapter 18 comes, it will be more clearly Krishna explains. So that's why 18th is the conclusion, right? That is ahituki. So give up everything, just serve Krishna without any unmotivated bhakti. In English, what we say, ahituki.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. We'll see you tomorrow. Purushottam Yoga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.